My first kind of unofficial album was called Get Scraped, which really had no dance music in it whatsoever. It was all very, kind of experimental and weird. And a lot of people have told me, oh, you should do something like that again. And I think I'm working my way towards doing that again, but just, better fidelity and production kind of stuff too, as an alternative option to what, my staple is. To the masses, which is, big dance tunes and stuff like that. The album, I'm really excited about it. I got to get out of doing dance music on a couple of tracks, which was refreshing for me because I just enjoy working on projects, albeit rap or, ambient stuff and glitch. And, it was just, it was good to get out of my forced bubble of being, 4 pounder guy, but I still kept a bit of that in there too, as not to, alienate everybody with, something, whoa. So that was cool. Yeah, it opened up a lot of doors for like who I want to work with and all that stuff, but I mean, at the same time, it just doesn't mean it's all open season. I'm just gonna go work with whoever I want, and for maximum exposure, because I mean, if that was the case, me and Lady Gaga would have had 3 signals, but it's just not a route I really wanted to go. So, I'm kind of keeping my program to myself and spectating on the whole thing and watching other guys do other, interesting choices. It's a bit of a comedy, but the fact alone that exists, is pretty big in itself. Not the results or who's doing what, but just the fact that it's possible for, a dance act now to work with some of the world's largest pop stars. It's a riot. There are always, and there forever will be, levels of made it. You know what I mean? I don't wake up thinking I'm Prince, or Michael in his best years. I remember quite a number of years ago, maybe 5 or 6, having come off the sort of small success, but big success to me at the time, and especially for dance music because it wasn't popular in North America at the moment. It was just a single called Faxing Berlin that I had put out, and we had sold 2,000 copies. At the time, dance music, it was so obscure. 2,000 copies is a fucking double platinum here, on vinyl, and which was like an obscure market to begin with. That was a big success. So that's when I kind of figured, you know what, I think this is gonna not head in pop direction, but I think as a producer, I'm onto something. You know what I mean, with making music, and learning all this stuff. So maybe I'll put aside the learning to program and code and web design and all these other things that I was doing at the time and went more into the music side of things, and then just hedged all my bets on the music and just dropped my life and went full-time producer. And it was, what was that, 2007-ish, around there is when I dropped my life to make music and all that stuff and just, hang on to that horse, and see where it goes. It's good to be appreciated, and it's not the worst feeling in the world to go somewhere and have, unmitigated access to whatever you want, you know what I mean, in terms of like amenities and stuff, and having people be extra nice around you kind of thing. That definitely is never a bad thing, but sometimes you do have these thoughts where you're like, wow, is this really necessary for, where, I'm not curing cancer. A lot of it to me seems silly and unwarranted, but the more you're kind of subjected to it, the more you feel like you kind of have to play along anyway, you know what I mean? So, you do shake the hand, sign this, and, post for the photo and all that stuff. Dubstep. I don't hate it for the culture. I love it for the culture. I don't hate it for the artist. I don't hate it for the thing. I hate it for the sound. It is a you to like every audio engineer in the world, because it's just so, like, these kids go out and they want it loud, loud, loud. You got a volume knob for that, dude. And if it's not loud enough, buy an amp and some better speakers, So what they do is they ruin the dynamic of the signal, and it's loud, yeah, and it's grindy, yeah. And then they were like, there's 2 ways you can play that off. Like, one, I don't know what the I'm doing, so I just put a limiter on it and then brought the threshold all the way down and just sausaged the out of it. because I'm an idiot and everyone else is doing it, or I legitimately, that is the art. You know, it's interesting to see what has happened in dance music because of the lack of engineering brought into it as opposed to, you know, just what taught, you know. I think when I started then making dance music, it was more about sculpting the sound in a transparent manner so it'll sound good on a big system, sound good on a little mono speaker, you know what I mean? I really went in with that mentality that really lacked in dance music.